This time, it's about family.
You were the chosen one!
Always hold on to small.
Avengers,
Assemble.
Yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome to Nerd City Central. It's your boy Lamont, my boy Curry, my co-pilot, and today we are ranking the Fast and Furious films, also known as the Fast Saga. And we're going to do things a little bit differently today. You know what I mean? Since we're doing Fast and Furious movies, we're going to go ahead and make this a fast ranking. 1 minute per film. So it's going to be quick. We're going to do this fast. We're going to do this furiously. Don't even know what that means, but it seems to work. And
that means one of us will probably get furious as we discuss this, like usual. So
there we go. And
it's going to be me. It's always me.
I was just about to say it's always you who gets furious. So with that being said, let's go ahead. Let us know your ranking at the bottom. This is a series that we both grew up watching. It's not quality cinema, but it is fun cinema. It is nostalgic for both Curry and myself. And we just love this franchise, man. And actually, one of the movies on this list is in my top 10 favorite films of all time. So there is one of the movies that I can actually say was a good movie, in my opinion. So with that being said, Curry, I'm going to let you go ahead and do the honors, my friend. What is your number 10? You got 1 minute.
Yeah, so my number 10 is Tokyo Drift. I don't have a strong connection to the early ones because I didn't see any of them in theaters until Fast 5. Okay. They were like the cool street racing movies when I was a young kid. And this one, it just kind of feels like a spinoff that's detached from the rest of the series. It did give us Han, so it's cool for that. But it has the world's oldest high school student. It doesn't really have a plot at all, and it doesn't have any crazy character development. There is some really great drifting stunts in it, but that's about it. I don't hate it, but I don't really love it either. It's just kind of I watch it and I feel nothing with some cool parts, just knowing that it leads to better moments later on. So yeah, I don't even need my full minute. That's my number 10.
All right, here we go. My number 10, The Fast and the Furious, the first film of the franchise.
Interesting.
Yes, I did. I never watched it in theaters. I didn't watch it till years after. I actually watched it after watching Too Fast, Too Furious. I went back and watched it. Okay. What I can say is it's a great movie. I still like the movie. I really enjoy it, but it's just not my favorite. You know, it set the groundwork. It was a good foundation. I actually realized I like more of the outlandish movies that came later than more of the more grounded ones. But I mean, this gave us Dom. It gave us Letty, Mia, Brian, of course. One of my favorite lines of the entire series. Dude, I almost had you. You almost had me. Yeah. You didn't. Yeah, you never had me. You didn't even have your car. I'm like, it's just such a good movie, man. So my number 10. With all that said, it just wasn't, as fun as the other ones, but still a good movie. So that's my number 10.
That's got to be a record for how fast we're going right now. Let's keep it going. Sorry, couldn't resist. There's the dad joke for the day.
Gosh, man.
Hey, you started it.
The dad joke's strong with you, homie.
All right, my number 9. It's perfect. Perfect slot for it. My number 9 is F9, The Fast Saga. Worst title. One of the worst titles. Okay, it may not be the worst, but one of the worst titles. Man, I don't have this at the bottom because it's still so much fun in parts. I still laughed, but I laughed when I wasn't supposed to laugh a bunch of times. And spoiler alert from here on out, spoilers. Them going to space is just a little too much. Lots of things happen that it's one thing to push the limits of physics. It's another thing to completely break them. Taking Chimera into space, Vin Diesel being able to pull down an entire building with chains. And the story just gets too convoluted. I have mixed feelings about Han coming back because there's no real consequences in the story anymore. I mean, it's nice to see him. It just was done kind of lazily. The action just doesn't do it for me as much now. It wasn't as well shot. I just left it feeling yeah, that was pretty fun, but I don't remember it. It didn't feel as memorable to me. And at this point, it just kind of is starting to feel tacked on. and it's showing signs that it needs to end. So F9 is my number 9.
All right. All right. My number 9, Tokyo Drift. Tokyo Drift is my number 9. I actually liked it more than I thought I was. I was going to like it. I remember not wanting to watch it because, I mean, come on, man. Little Bow Wow was in it. None of the main cast is in it. How good could this be? Besides Han. And I was blown away, actually, by how much I really enjoyed it from the beginning to the very end. Seeing Dom show up at the end was awesome. Seeing, Han's death, knowing who was in the car later on, you know what I mean, and how that connected. I actually like the story of belonging. Him going to Tokyo, connecting with his father, finding a home with his love interest and with Twinkie. Just the other crew. The street racing was bomb. The drifting was great.
Cool.
I did like the last race scene between him and the rival. So man, all that to say, man, I really enjoyed it. So my number 9.
Yeah, that's one of those things too, where it's like when the car hits Han's car, it's like, oh man, that's Jason Statham. Like it's made better by later movies. 100%. And that's one thing I forgot to say about 9 too, is I appreciated seeing like 3 of the main characters from Tokyo Drift back in the series. That was pretty cool.
Yes.
Especially seeing Lucas Black and Han reunited. That was cool.
Yep.
All right. Next is our number 8, right?
Number 8, man. What is it?
My number 8 is the original Fast and Furious. And you kind of said it already. It's one of those where it's like the nostalgic factor is there, like, because it's what everything starts. You get introduced to so many characters, but it's very much a street racing movie with low stakes. I mean, a movie can't be dated more than when they're stealing TVs with DVD players in them, like VHS DVD players and whatnot. And it's fun. The car stunts are still incredible, but the action isn't really there. There's not a huge sense of character development. It's very sexualized, and that's a problem I have with a lot of, especially the earlier movies. There's a lot of over sexualization and stereotyping going on, and it just sometimes it's so early 2000s it hurts. And but that being said, I can still have fun watching it. It's just I like a lot of other things that happen in later movies a lot more. So yeah, Fast and Furious is my number 8.
All right. My number 8, F9, Fast Saga.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah, you know what? I still have fun with this. They went to space. Whatever. First time we've seen two brothers in space. You know what I mean? So hey, way to be progressive, F9 and Justin Lin. You know what I mean? So breaking stereotypes. Black people are afraid of heights. Way to break stereotypes. You know what I mean? They went to space. What's up?
They even joke about in the movie how they're invincible, and like only Roman is like, this doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, what?
You know what though? I enjoyed myself. I love Justin Lin. He great director. For all of its negatives, it was still fun. So even Dom pulling the thing, pulling the building down, the concrete down, whatever, man. I mean, you have cars literally jumping out of an airplane in one. So at some point, you just realize this is what Fast and Furious is. I am happy that it's going to be ending in 2 movies. Yeah. Man, spoiler, that blue, the blue skyline at the end, Brian's car. So I'm like, okay, we're going to have Caleb and Cody Walker coming back to stand in for Brian O'Connor again, which I actually do hope that happens. I think Paul Walker would love it. I know it's controversial, but I think it's carrying on the spirit of Paul Walker. I think Paul would actually want that. And
if it happens, I just hope it's a small role. I don't want it to be a major thing because I think it'll be too distracting.
I'm willing to say, hey, I'll wait and see. F9 was my last place, but I moved up simply because I had more fun with it than the other 2. But I think the next 2 movies we'll see if F9 was justified. Yeah. So I'm willing to wait. And F9 was is my number 8.
All right, cool. On to number 7, moving right along. My number 7 is Too Fast, Too Furious. This is probably one of my hot takes. I know it's a hot take for a different reason for you. But my hot take is that Too Fast, Too Furious is better than the first movie. Not by a ton, but there's a better sense of fun. The banter, adding like more banter between Paul Walker and with Tyrese Gibson just makes the movie so much better. I laughed I like the undercover story. I like Carter Verone was the bad guy's name.
Carter Verone, bro.
Good villain. Um,
Yes.
there's
Bring him
still,
back.
yeah, there's still a lot of needless sexualization going on, and for some reason, they did a lot of CGI cars in the races to try to give them this like it almost gives it like a sci-fi look, which has not aged well. But all in all, I still think it's a fun movie, and it's better than the first one. And most people say it's the worst of all of them. And I think people are crazy for thinking that, are not looking at the core characters and how they interact. It even gives Brian more character development from the first one into why he made the decision to let Dom go. And
Yep.
they go into it even more later, but I appreciated that because the first one just ends like without any kind of like reason as to why. So I always appreciate when they build on that kind of thing. But yeah, that's my number 7.
All right. My number 7, Fate of the Furious. It was.
That makes me sad.
Hey, I know. Too Fast, Too Furious at 7 made me sad. So suck it up, Buttercup.
I totally
It was actually you who helped F8 jump up a few places for me. Seeing that Cypher was the reason for the events of number 6 and number 7. Fast and Furious 6 and then Furious 7 was great. I love babysitter Jason Statham, Decker Shaw. At the end, when he's like, put these on. Oh, Google, were you going to shoot a baby? You sick. Bow, 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 bow. And I was like, hey, Jason Statham was a dope babysitter. Can we get a movie with him babysitting like Brian Marcos again? You know what I mean? Like,
make a sequel to The Pacifier with Vin Diesel with Jason Statham.
Yes. And have him, you know what I mean? Have
Heard
him
it here first.
I'm down for it, bro. So for me, man, I F8 wasn't the best, but it was fun, man. Seeing Cypher, seeing the first scene with Letty and Dom in the race, and how he was like, dude, keep your car. And, that came back into play later on where the dude helped him out. I really did enjoy it. The action scenes were fun. And I love that it finally, thank you to F. Gary Gray, a brother, do for the people, do for the culture, sir, who gave Roman Pierce that moment to shine at the end on the ice. Because lately I've kind of been feeling like this brother's just become comedic relief. I want to see Roman be the Too Fast, Too Furious Roman. And he's like, I'm tired of this, man. Took the car door, bam, got him, got the gun, pop, pop, pop. And I was like, that's what's up, man. Like, yes.
In an F9, he's like a one-man army. That was crazy too.
I'm happy. And then real quick, because I know we said a minute, the one thing I can say that I loved as well, man, in F8 was when he's driving with The Rock, with Hobbs in the car at the end. And he's like, yelling, and Hobbs turns around, why are you always yelling? And I'm like, that's perfect. That's perfect. All we needed was Dave Chappelle to come out of the back, because that's the way I talk. Chappelle Show reference for those of y'all who know. So that's my number 7, man, Fate of the Furious.
I love the Hobbs and Roman like relationship, how they get each other back and forth.
Yes.
Cool. All right, on to number 6, right?
Hey, better hide that baby oil. Better hide that big
Better hide that big forehead.
Hey, and we'll talk about that, but that was definitely a real reaction from Ludacris.
Yeah, it had to be, because that was too perfect.
Oh, I know. I watched an interview with him about the backstory. We'll talk about that later. All that to say.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. That's my number 7. What's number 6, man?
Number 6 is Fast and Furious, the 4th one.
Okay.
This is one that I thought I still think is fairly underrated. I didn't like it as much upon rewatch. I still really liked it though. It's kind of one of those like gap movies where it kind of is a bridge between the old style and the new style, and it shows sometimes. I think the plot was a little complicated, more complicated than it needed to be. Like Letty dying off screen, and then like finding out like without a flashback that she was working for Brian. Like they tell you a lot, but they don't show you a lot. But the action scenes take a step up. It's much more of an action focus while still being more of a street racing movie. And it really paved the way for future sequels, which I don't think it gets enough credit for. Seeing Brian actually like get to be a full FBI agent was one of the highlights of the movie for me. The stunts and the fight scenes got like a better sense of purpose and clarity through the directing. It just was more visceral all around, and I think it's a lot of fun. And a lot of people have this one near the bottom too, and I don't understand why. Maybe it's because the plot gets a little convoluted, but for me, it paved the way for a trilogy of greatness coming. So, yeah, that's my number 6.
Speaking of the trilogy of greatness, I agree. 4, 5, and for me, I'll say for me it's a four movie set. 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Right.
All that to say, my number 6, Fast and Furious 6.
Oh, interesting.
Right? Yeah. So it's a good movie. It's a great movie. I remember seeing this in 2013 and walking out the theater loving it, and I still loved it. Rewatched it recently for this ranking, and before seeing F9, and really enjoyed it. Seeing Owen Shaw and being seeing kind of how he was a different kind of villain.
Mm-hmm.
Very different, very more suave, kind of like a Carter Verone.
Very British.
Yes. The whole Letty storyline I thought worked really well, and then the fight, the bridge scene, of course, with the tank, and then seeing Hobbs and Dom fight Shaw and that big dude, you know what I mean? And the Rock, or no, Vin Diesel picks him up, and the Rock comes and just bam. I thought it was good, man. Giselle's death was powerful, and the end scene when they're at home and they're holding hands and they're praying and talking, and it's amazing, man. Roman, thank you, Lord. Thank you, God, for family, for fast cars. I'm like, that's just the spirit. And it's very
blockbuster franchises.
And it's very Christianity friendly about God, even in F9. Like very much Judeo-Christian friendly with the praying, and even, Roman Catholic with the. So I do, even though, there's not a Christian film by any stretch of the imagination, but there are factors in the movie that I find refreshing when it comes to family and even some good family values. So for me, man,
how many blockbuster franchises can you say end with prayer? And several of these do. Like you said, they're not Christian movies, but that's still a cool standard to see be brought forth in and these movies are so full of diversity too. Be able to see a full diverse cast with that as well. I think that's really cool.
No, I 100% agree with you, man. And so Ludacris said that he told The Rock off screen, hey, this is his line. You should say, hide that big A forehead. And so when he did the line, hey, Mid, better hide that baby oil. And when Hobbs comes back and says, you better hide that big A forehead. When he spits out the water, that's a real reaction from Ludacris. He goes, I didn't know that they were going to I didn't know he was going to say that. So it was just real fun, man. So I loved it. Number 6 is my favorite. And then Elena is great. Elena's great. I love her relationship with Dom. It's sad that what happened to her in F8. But yeah, man, I really enjoyed it. She was a sweet love interest in women. So yeah.
Cool. All right, number 5. And this one actually got bumped up on rewatch. My number 5 is Hobbs and Shaw. So I had it a little lower because the first time I watched it, I was still in that phase of like, man, these movies used to be about street racing, and now we have like an MCU black Superman villain with like technological enhancements, and like they're fighting in Samoa with stick weapons, but they like had to use an EMP to shut off the stuff or whatever,
But they had family. Stick weapons, family.
But the weird part about it, especially on the second watch, was it works. Like they just embrace it and go for it, and they throw in enough to make it make sense. David Leitch is a great director, a co-director of John Wick, Deadpool 2, lots of great action movies, and that shows in the fight scenes. I have a few issues with some of the sound editing. There's actually a gunshot that happens in the movie, and the sound is there, but there's no like muzzle flash on the gun. And there's a couple other parts where it seems like some sound effects are missing, which makes the fight seem a little weightless. However, the banter and most of the other action sequences are just so entertaining. The Rock and Jason Statham were born to like play against one another. And then you throw Kevin Hart in as like the third guy. And
Ryan Reynolds. Bro, Ryan Reynolds, especially the end credit scene.
Oh my gosh. Stabbing a guy with a brick isn't that hard.
And he's like, hey, I'm bleeding. Oh, that's not my blood. Okay. And his banter with the Rock's daughter, man, with Hobbs' daughter. Yeah. You see how much like your dad. Ryan Reynolds is a fool, man. And Kevin Hart too in it. Perfect.
Yeah. And Vanessa Kirby like really stepped up, and she owned her role. Yeah, my wife, I was surprised at how much she really liked it. And it just reminded me of good old like buddy cop movies from back in the day, like Lethal Weapon, Rush Hour, Shanghai Noon, and I was a huge fan of those as a kid.
Shanghai Noon. Forgot.
Yes.
Oh my god. Well, Owen Wilson and Jackie Chan.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, bro, you took me back. Shanghai Noon and then Shanghai Nights.
Yep.
Oh,
Buddy cop movies like that are just, I have a special place in my heart, and I love that we got
yeah,
an
bro.
updated version of that. And I'm excited for where it's going to go as its own hopeful trilogy. Yeah. So I want to know who that person is behind Etienne and that knows Hobbs. So it's gonna be interesting. Actually, real quick, I know we only have a minute. When I watched it, I thought it was going to be Han. I thought Han was going to be the guy behind Etienne, but now with F9, I doubt it. But I just thought, I was like, oh my gosh, it's got to be somebody we know, but apparently not.
Well, I mean, we'll see. You never know. You never know. My number 5, Too Fast, Too Furious.
Nice.
This was the movie, the film that got me involved with the Fast Saga, man. It made me a fan of the Fast Saga. I saw this in June of 2003, the day of my 8th grade graduation. My mom and dad took me to go see Too Fast, Too Furious. Went to Hometown Buffet. They bought me a PlayStation 2 baseball game. It was a great day. But I remember going to see this movie, and I loved it, laughed, enjoyed it. I was like, yo, this series is pretty funny. So, yeah, man, it's just nostalgia for me. I love even the cheeses, like at the end. He goes, my pockets ain't empty, cuz. I said, my pockets ain't empty, cuz. And then Roman, and we ain't hungry no more either. And they doing this. I'm like, yo, pump, pump, pump. Hey, pump, pump. Pump it up. Hey. Monica Fuentes, great. Carter Verone was great. Bring Carter and Monica back. I love her cameo in Fast 5.
Yes.
Yes.
Great.
So bring Monica back. Bring Carter back. Like, Too Fast and Furious was good. Ludacris, Roman, Brian and Roman's fight. You still fight like crap.
That's our relationship.
It is our relationship. You know what I mean? You're definitely Brian. I'm definitely Roman. For sure. I'm always hungry, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, bro, I just love Too Fast, Too Furious. It's actually the one that I watched the most, and it's the most fun for me, just because of the memories. The night that Paul Walker died, I went home and cried and watched that one as well. So that is the one that it gets me, even though it's not my number one. It's still, I would say, the most fun for me to watch. But the other ones are they're fun, but they're also more consequential. Yeah, story is, better. So, but yeah, Too Fast, Too Furious, man. Love it. I have actually 0 things to say negative about it.
Cool.
Yeah. And, just the sexualization.
Yeah.
Besides that.
And that's really my issue with a lot of the earlier ones. And once you get to 5, like, there's still moments of it, but it's way less.
Oh, 100%.
Once you get past 4, it's actually, I think, the worst in 4.
It is. Well, I tended to turn my head and close my eyes. So I didn't see a lot of 4. So, all that say.
But that's a problem in and of itself, you know?
Yeah, but then again, I'm not expecting these to be Christian movies. So it's a problem in the sense that it's not right. It's a sin in God's eyes. But it's not a problem in the sense of I'm not expecting non-Christians to act like Christians.
Right.
I don't hold it against them because the world is going to do what the world's going to do. So I don't hold it against them at all because I'm like, well, what am I expecting? They don't have the Spirit of God. Why am I expecting to see the fruit of the Spirit in these movies? Come on. And I don't go watching these movies to see Jesus in them. I go to see fast cars, action, and fun stunts.
Yeah.
So
I'm just happy that they did finally move away from that, and because it respects the female cast more too.
Yes, and it is objectifying to women. So yeah. So
cool.
Go ahead, bud.
Number 4 is The Fate of the Furious.
Someone smoking.
Smoking that good stuff, because this movie is, and that good stuff being the Spirit of the Lord.
There we go. Hey, clean that right up, homie.
Yeah, that's right. Man, this one, I was so mad when they said they were going to make it, because I'm like, they don't need to make another one. The 7 was a perfect ending. Why are they doing this? And then I went and saw it, and I was even angrier because I had an amazing time. This movie does a very smart thing in kind of, and I don't mean this as a slight against it, but sidelining Vin Diesel, challenging that family concept by making him go against his family to save his family, and focusing more on Hobbs and Jason Statham, or Hobbs and Shaw, setting up their
Bro, that fight scene in the prison.
dude.
I will
And that rat tat song, dude.
Hey, the song is better. Got the whole cup like oh man, and then I will beat your like a Cherokee drum. Hey, but one of the best parts of that whole scene, bro, is when it's after they've been fighting for a little bit, and Jason Statham or Shaw is down below, and Hobbs is above, and they look and they have a moment like this, and he turns and starts getting people out of the way, and you see Hobbs start to go after him.
Yep.
You know I'm gonna watch it again after
Hobbs becomes the Hulk in that scene. He just takes rubber bullets, no problem. I love how it shows all the guys at the door, and then it just shows them all flying through the door, and he just runs through. But like you also, like, it's a natural evolution from like them becoming more government agents. Like them versus the submarine doesn't bother me because like it's never presented in a sense of like their car is going to beat the submarine. They outthink them, they outmaneuver them. The fight scenes are still really good. You mentioned the baby scene earlier. That baby has the best reactions. I wish Shaw's redemption wasn't quite so quick. I still think more movies are going to continue to help with that. I think Hobbs and Shaw helped with that. And F9 showing that Han is confronting him at the end. So it's becoming more okay. It's like you can't judge Star Wars like one movie that happens with Anakin, but without watching the rest of the saga.
I'm gonna push back on that. I don't think it was fast at all. I think Hobbs and Shaw showed his heart. He was protecting his brother. That's the only reason why he did it. He actually said no to Cypher, and it's a child. I don't know.
He killed a lot of innocent people too, though. That's another thing I hope they address.
Well, I think he is. I think the movies will address it. Even in Hobbs and Shaw, though, he goes, "I've done a lot I need to make amends for." And the director did say that his main thing he's thinking about is Han.
Yeah, that's good. But yeah, 8 it has a sense of fun that continued the franchise, introduced new things, tied the last 2 movies together with Cypher being the big bad. I just kind of I feel like now they're dragging the Cypher thing out a little bit because she was in 9 for like no reason. And I'm a little concerned about where Fast 10 Your Seatbelts is going to go. So, and then the 11th being The Family and the Furious, but just kidding. But yeah, 8 is the most underrated one to me, and I will defend it wholeheartedly because it's a great time.
Okay. Right. My number 4, Hobbs and Shaw.
Nice.
It was about to be my top 3. I had to bump it down because of my number 3. I just, loved it more. But man, I'm the Black Superman, which, by the way, we are getting the Black Superman. Thank you, Michael B. Jordan, HBO Max. We love y'all. WB, good job. Now just bring Cavill back. But all that to say, loved it, man. The airport, the airplane scene when the Kevin Hart reveal happens, the air marshal.
Yes.
Bro, Kevin Hart was very funny in this movie. Ryan Reynolds was amazing. The action was great. I loved seeing Hobbs with his family. It was actually very emotional, and his backstory about having to turn his own father in to protect his brothers, which is why, and it kind of shows why he is so much of a lover of family. They, think of him as a traitor. His main brother, the one that really had an issue with him that punched him, the actor's name is Cliff Curtis, and I'm watching him like, why do I keep feeling like I'm looking at Jesus when I'm looking at him? It's because he did play Jesus in a movie called Risen, excuse me, from 2016. It's a Christian movie called Risen, which is actually very well done. Yeah, and bro. So Cliff Curtis plays Jesus. That plays Hobbs' Hobbs' brother, the main one. Roman Reigns is in it from the WWE. So it was a good movie, man. I really like Vanessa Kirby as Hattie Shaw. Man, give me a movie with the Shaws. Deckard, Owen, Hattie, and Queenie, the mother. I love the Shaw family, man. I love the Hobbs family.
I want to know who their dad is. If their mom is Helen Mirren, they need to get like Bruce Willis for their dad or something. I don't know.
Gosh, bro, if they got Bruce Willis to come in and play, they'd have to make him look a little bit older. But yeah, man, I would say like Bruce Willis or someone would be great.
Yeah,
or maybe like an older Daniel Craig.
Well, Daniel Craig's I think younger than Jason Statham.
Well, never mind then. As you can see, this is why I don't do casting. So
we will do a fan casting of Father Shaw video another time.
And Mother Toretto. We still don't know who their mom is.
You're right.
And they've talked about showing us. So all the Hobbs and Shaw was fun. It was great. It was a superhero movie in the Fast and Furious franchise. I'm here for it. Give me a sequel. Loved it. That's my number 4. What's your number 3?
Nice. Number 3 is Fast and Furious 6.
Okay.
Man, the hype for this movie, I honestly didn't think it was going to be able to live up to the hype after Fast 5. But it honestly did. Because if you think about Fast 5, Fast 5 actually works as an ending to the saga without the after credit scene. Like it's I did not think they were going to make another one. And then they surprised everyone with that reveal that Letty was alive. And I was like, what? And because it's the first time they did it, it's the first time they brought someone back.
You're okay with
it gets a pass. And they make the whole movie about it and make you deal with it, which is good. It's not just like an afterthought. Some of the most spectacularly action sequences I've seen. The plane or the runway, all the fight scenes we get with oh gosh, his name is slipping my mind at the moment, but he plays Sub-Zero in Mortal Kombat. He's in the movie. He does a great job. He's from the Raid.
All right. Are you talking about the fight scene in the subway with Han and Roman? And he's like, "You go, no, you go, man." Yes, you're right.
Yeah, he's fantastic, man. He's one of the best like fighters I've ever seen. Joe Taslim, that's his name. He's great in everything he's in. So they just did a lot, and it really changed the saga into being like, okay, this has been about criminals. Now they can redeem themselves and help save the world, right? I appreciate that shift in tone because as great as the other movies are, it is nice to see them actually be good guys because they really weren't good guys except for when they were undercover before. But at the same time, there's a lot of action sequences that happen, and a lot of times it kind of just feels like they're stretching until they can get to the next one. Owen Shaw was a good villain. You can tell the budget went up. The stunts were bigger, better. It has the longest runway in cinema. So I actually looked it up. The longest runway in the world is like 11 miles long, and the one in Fast and Furious 6 had to be between 18 and 26 miles long.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they built the plane, get to the end. Vin Diesel survives yet another flipping crash. Like flipping crash, not like, oh, flipping crash. But and then they're at the end of the runway. It makes me laugh every time. R.I.P. Gal Gadot, Giselle.
But the reason why that happened so she could go be Wonder Woman.
Yeah, pretty much. But I also don't like how they kind of just are like, oh no, sorry, Han, she's dead. And then they just kind of like don't do anything else with it. I don't know. And there's a couple little random things that happen, like Brian's little side quest to the prison happens really fast. It's cool.
I actually enjoy that. Cool. Yeah.
But it's just like, oh, he can get into prison and get out real quick. It was just a little much. A lot happens.
He got connections, bro.
Yeah, I do love how he smashes the guy's face again. That was great. So anyway, that's my number 3.
That's what's up, man. My number 3, Fast and Furious, the 4th one from 2009.
I'm surprised it's that high for you.
Oh, love this one. I remember putting this one on the shelves when I used to work at Blockbuster back in the day.
You worked at Blockbuster?
Oh, yeah, from December of 2008 to June of 2010.
Oh, man, that was probably around the time they started closing.
Yep. I got out right before they closed down that store. So, oh, yeah, bro, Fast and Furious, I loved it. It was a very tight story. I don't think it was convoluted at all. It was street racing. The scene where it's Mia, Brian, and Dom having dinner, and Mia prays and thanks God for family, which includes Brian, our friends and family, something like that. And when Vin Diesel finds out that Letty had been working with him, so they do that fight.
Yeah, that was.
And he's like, she did it for you, Dom. She did it for you. She just wanted you to come home. He's like, dang, I'm sorry, Dom. I'm sorry. Such a powerful scene. When he holds him at the end, right before Phoenix dies or whatever, he gets run over by Dom. Mm-hmm. The way that Brian holds his leg and he looks down, he's like, crap, I'm done.
That's great death.
Oh, great death. And then when he gets convicted, and you're like, dang, what's going to happen? And the look, specifically of Mia, they gave Mia just like a BA scene where she's like has this look of determination, like she's smirking as she's gonna, go help break Dom out. And Brian looks at her and they're kind of like, let's go get Dom. And Dom looks out the window and he knows what's about to happen. He kind of smirks like family.
Also, fun fact about that scene where he's getting sentenced and like the judge is like reading the sentencing to it. And there's like, you hear the gavel hit and you hear the music. I actually used that in one of my films for a prison sentencing scene because I needed a voiceover, but I wanted it to sound cool. So I used that whole thing for my title sequence, just the sound. So I've got a special connection there.
That's what's up, man. No, so I liked it. It was, if it wasn't for this movie, we wouldn't have Fast 5, 6, 7, or anything else. Mm-hmm. This Justin Lin revitalized the entire franchise with this movie.
Yep.
I know people attribute it to Fast 5. No, it was Fast and Furious that really got it going.
Another thing that I struggle with in the movie, my wife made this point, is that Dom actually abandons his family in this one. And because it happens, like Letty dies. But I was like, but that's why he's so much more committed to family in later movies. But I was made that mistake.
But I don't think he abandoned them. He went away to protect them. This is where the Last Jedi, I can defend the Last Jedi, and I'm bringing it in. Luke leaves, not because, yes, he's afraid, but not because he's a coward. He leaves because he thinks it's the Jedi that continue to bring issues. It was the Jedi Order that helped form my father into Vader. It was the Jedi, it was me who brought about Kylo Ren. If I leave and let the Jedi Order die with me, I keep the galaxy more safe without the Jedi. Yep. Dom is saying, I'm not going to let my family take the fall. I will leave and go without the greatest thing to me, which is my family, in order to protect my family. It's the same theme as F8. So I got to disagree with you and Haley because it's the same thing.
I was defending it. Because I was like, he does abandon for a reason. And the movie goes out of its way to show you why he was wrong because it got Letty killed. Yes, right, eventually, and then he's committed later. So I'll tell Haley to disagree.
But even with that, though, he left his family before Letty died to keep all them safe. He says that on the beach right before he leaves that night. He goes, "If I'm with you guys are going to get in trouble when they eventually catch up with me because they will catch up with me." So that's the whole reason why he leaves Letty and everyone else is to keep them safe.
Yeah.
And Giselle's introduced, so yeah, man. All that to say, Fast and Furious.
She was so weird in that one, though.
You think
she was just like, "Yo, Dom, call me every 5 minutes."
I mean, listen.
I'm just glad she becomes like a more of a character later.
I don't think it's weird. It's a street race scene, man. This is Fast and Furious we're talking about. We're not talking about something deep. Like she's like, "Yo, he looked good. What's up? Call me."
Right.
He wins the race. Like, I don't that bothers you out of everything in the movie.
I just thought it was funny, dude. I didn't even remember she was in that one until I rewatched it.
Same with me.
Yeah. Same with me. That should say something. But anyway, all right. Number 2.
Yeah, number 2.
This is where it's hard for me, but I got to go with my gut. My number 2 is Fast 5.
All right, I knew it was going to be switched.
Yep, Fast 5. Fast 5 was the first one I saw in theaters. Wait, it is my turn, right? Yeah, it's my turn.
Okay. Yeah.
Fast 5 was the first one I saw in theaters, and it blew me away. Everything about it takes a step up. The stunts, the fights, the storytelling, the tension. Introducing Dwayne Johnson as Hobbs he made for like a great antagonist. I remember reading a review back in the day that says like Vin Diesel versus The Rock is this generation's Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Sylvester Stallone. And it was perfect. That fight scene they have near the end of the movie is so good. A little too darkly lit for my taste, but still so good. And man, everything about it, the pulling, I don't know how they filmed the bank or the vaults like in the streets.
But they did.
Like, some of those car stunts, it's just incredible what they pulled off. It's an action masterpiece, honestly. And and it really just set the franchise up to be able to go anywhere because it has a happy ending. And then it has that crazy cliffhanger leading us into 6 that set the franchise forward for a long time. It is fantastic, but I'll stop there because I know it's one of your favorites too, and I want you to be able to talk about it as well. So.
No, it's all good. My number 2, Furious 7.
My man.
Furious 7 is my number 2. Deckard Shaw.
Mm.
That first scene, great. His fight with Hobbs, great. The car scene from the airplane, and them saving Ramsey, and that whole sequence, great. Can I talk about this movie though without talking about the tragic passing of Paul Walker? Still miss him to this day. Cried when I saw the movie again. It's the only Fast and Furious movie that I actually own a copy of.
Mm.
The tribute throughout the movie, but at the end, I feel like tearing up now. The best.
Yep.
So loving, so respectful. In fact, I personally think it should have ended with 7 and let them do the spinoffs. I think it was a perfect ending. However, I'm gonna wait until the saga's officially over to make my judgment. Who knows? The last 2 movies may justify it continuing with the main saga films, not counting Hobbs and Shaw. But yeah, Furious 7, man, was amazing. I loved it. It was so much fun. The fight between Toretto and Shaw at the end, and then them passing Ramsey back and forth like a football. They're like, you got to jump out the car, go, go, go. The drone scene, so freaking over the top, but it was so much fun. And yeah, man, I enjoyed the movie. The scenes between Brian and Mia were really sad too.
Yep.
And just shout out, there was a few times she's like, Brian, don't say that. And it's just like, because what happened in real life. And shout out to Caleb and Cody Walker, his brothers. Thank y'all for what you did. You probably will never see this, but if you ever do, thank you for what you did to carry on the legacy of your brother. And Brian O'Connor, you did him proud. I know he would have loved it. So with that being said, man, Furious 7 is my number 2. Love it to death. And yeah.
Perfect. And that is a great segue into my number 1, which is Furious 7. And I mean, it's for all the reasons you said. The reason it edges out Fast 5 for me is solely because of the emotional impact it has on me every time I watch it. I always tear up. It always gets to me because they handle it with such respect and such dignity to the franchise. But I'm going to start where you started. That opening scene with Jason Statham talking to Shaw in the hospital bed, it's all done in one take. There's no cuts. They do it all in one take. James Wan brought a whole new level and new type of cinematography. Same, the use of wide shots. I love his use of wide shots and all he does, especially in Aquaman, but in this as well. And he just said, we can be a blockbuster crazy franchise and still have a gorgeous film at the same time, gorgeously shot. And I love how Jason Statham kicks The Rock's butt. It's a great fight. And now that I think about it, The Rock loses a lot of the fights in these movies, now that I'm thinking about it. But Deckard Shaw's, to me, the best villain of the series because he just shows up to mess things up whenever. He's almost like the Terminator in the movie. Another of the underappreciated things about 6 and 7 is that Paul Walker was a brown belt, I believe a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in real life, and he gets to show off his martial arts scenes in these movies. I mean, he gets to have 2 fights with Tony Jaa from Ong Bak and The Protector, great martial artist, Muay Thai expert, and he gets to go toe-to-toe to him like several times and gets his own action scenes. I just love that it's not all about Vin Diesel in the action. Like Brian gets plenty of his own time in this one. This one does world building like crazy for the franchise. Like we get introduced to Mr. Nobody. There's this whole world of like shadows and secrets and like technology, but it's not too much. Without this one, we could have never had what 8 did, and we could never have had what Hobbs and Shaw eventually built to. If 7 had been what 6 was or what 5 was, 8 and Hobbs and Shaw could have never happened because they would have been like, this is too much of a stretch. They couldn't have gone to space if they hadn't first done the whole God's Eye thing. But 7, man, there's just such good action scenes. I love the planes, the cars coming out of the plane. I don't care about what anybody says. That technically is possible. And there is some shots where they have cars on parachutes that are not CGI. I don't know how they did it, but there is. And if you go fast enough with enough momentum, you can jump a car through skyscrapers.
Skydivers, excuse me. So they actually pushed a few cars out of the plane and with parachutes. Jenna looked it up. And skydivers were, filming.
My man.
Film. So yeah. So I mean it's possible.
Yeah, and if you have a car that can go 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, you could totally jump a skyscraper. You totally could, especially those ones in Dubai that are close. I don't know if you would live through it, but that's not a conversation we can have with these movies. So,
Well,
man,
they would have been dead after 5.
Yeah.
6. We'll go 6.
Yeah, they would have been dead a long time ago.
Yeah.
But all in all, the way you said it perfectly was Furious 7 should have been where it ended. While I still enjoy the films that come afterwards, I think you're right. The spinoffs would have been better, and it just works perfectly as an ending. The only thing that was left is Cypher was alive. No way, that's 8. No. So yeah, so this would have worked perfectly. Yeah, that's my favorite, man, for sure. It's so emotional and hits hard.
All right, guys. My number 1, you guessed it, Fast 5. This is in my top 10 favorite films of all time. I love Fast 5. That's what cemented me as a Fast and Furious fan. If Too Fast, Too Furious made me into a fan, then it was Fast 5 that just cemented me into this fandom. So even though I'm, am not the largest fan, I'm not the biggest fan of the later movies, even though I am a fan, I'm still a fan of the franchise. I'm still going to watch everything that comes out from the Fast and Furious franchise. I don't care. I don't care if they go back in time or go to, fight dinosaurs. I'm going to be there to watch it because it's Fast and Furious, and in honor of Paul and Brian as well. But all that to say, Fast 5 was great, man. That last sequence, though, when they open the safe, that song makes me so happy. And then you see everyone like Han and Giselle. I really enjoyed that part. For this reason, I enjoyed it because of the sweetness of their relationship, where she, she's like, he's like, where do you want to go? And you can tell he loves her. You can tell that she is into him and loves him. And, I want to go, what about Tokyo? He's like, we'll get there eventually. So you're just like, oh, what's going to happen. Right? It's just, so I loved, besides the sexualization part, Roman and Tej. He's like, so there's 2 in the Western Hemisphere now. And he's like, come on, man. So it was just good, man, seeing the brothers in the casino. And then, of course, the best part, though, was Dom and Brian on the beach, Elena and Mia talking, and Mia's pregnant. And, he's like, I want a second. I want to race. He's like, all right, O'Connor, show me what you got. That's how we roll. Hey, roll like this. Hey, just loved it, man. Fast 5, great movie. The perfect Fast and Furious film, in my opinion. Nothing has come close to topping that for me. Actually, no. I got it. Furious 7 got close to topping it.
Yeah.
Still, Fast 5.
These movies too, the soundtracks are always so good. They have the best songs. Like they're always either hype, but I forgot to mention
Hobbs, bro. Sorry, the introduction of Hobbs and that first train scene, great. But the introduction of Hobbs, and when Hobbs comes in after the fight, and Vin Diesel shows his character development when he has the wrench, instead of hitting him like he hits the man who helped kill his dad, and he hits it, and he's like, puts his hands up. I'm like, okay, character development. You see Elena feels bad, but then seeing, man, so much. No, we said a minute. I gotta finish up. The first scene when they're jumping from building to building, which shout out to Paul Walker again. Jordana Brewster, who plays Mia, was like, he made me feel very safe during that scene. And they're, he's like, let's jump. Beautiful. Seeing when Hobbs Shaw dies, and Ben and Paul and I forgot the other guy, the guy who dies, who didn't like Brian. They go to help. They all band together to help out Hobbs.
Yeah,
I really like that, man. The last scene, So yeah, the whole movie was great. I can talk about this movie for a while, but Fast 5, amazing movie, loved it.
Yeah, I forgot to mention with 7. One probably the most beautiful scene in the movie is when they're all on the beach at the end in Furious 7, and each character gets their shot to say goodbye to Paul Walker, and they play the "Till I See You Again" song. And to this day, I cannot hear that song without feeling so emotional, man. It's
That's what I said. That's when I teared up. Is that song, and they played that song when Kobe Bryant died last year. Rest in peace to Kobe Bryant and Gianna Bryant and everyone else who lost their lives on that helicopter. Man, still so incredibly sad. Yeah, bro. Yeah, I'm with you, dude. It's just
it's a good goodbye song for like many situations. Like when I graduated college, Fury 7 came out the year I graduated. And so like I made like a video of like my time at UNCW with my RA staff, and like that's the song I played, and we were all like weepy at the end. It's just it became like a cultural touchstone for like those songs don't come often, but now we have one that's perfect for saying goodbye to friendship and letting go, but also it will always be about Paul Walker's legacy too.
Yep, and Brian O'Connor. So yeah, we love the Fast Saga ranking. You guys, we said we're gonna go 1 minute. It's actually a lot. This video is shorter. This video is shorter than some of our other videos. So put your Fast Saga rankings at the bottom. We want to know how you rank them from least favorite to most favorite. And we appreciate y'all rocking with Nerd City Central. Tell someone about us, subscribe, share, and we'll come back with some more content. Hopefully soon, hopefully next week. So we have to do a DC ranking. We need to do our Spider-Man film ranking. And
we got to talk about Loki too.
We do got to talk about Loki. We got to talk about Superman and Lois. Shout out to Superman and Lois. We also, man, we got to talk about our MCU ranking. I'm ready whenever you are, man. Yeah, Curry dragging his feet, y'all. Curry dragging his feet. I've been wanting to do MCU ranking, but come on, bro. Let's roll. Let's do this.
He's not wrong. But hey, who was 20 minutes late today and who wasn't? I'm just saying.
Well, you on white time, I'm on black time, so I wasn't late.
And on that note, we're going to end it with one reminder. Family.
You were the chosen one.
Always hold on to small.
Avengers.
Assemble.